guys, welcome back to this finance application series using Ionic framework, and this is presented by your one and only coding techniques. So guys, this is the second part of this particular series, and today we are going to build a lot of designing work. So let's get started with this. You have already seen in the intro what we are going to build, and if you are new to this particular video and you haven't seen the first part of it, then link is there in the description. You can check that out and watch the first part, then it's going to be easier for you to watch the second part of it. So let's get started, guys. So out here we have already built the home page, as you can see, which is looking pretty lovely out here, and now we are going to start with the transaction one. So let's get started. We already have the page out here which is already created, and in here, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to play with the design, of course. So out here, let me change this iron toolbar at first. I'll give this particular title of transactions and the color of primary to that. All right. Okay, there are two toolbars. Actually, I need to remove this. Now the error is gone. All right, so let's go out here to the, now it's fine. So this is coming up. Let me pass few classes to our iron header too, because I don't want any border out here. So I'll just pass iron no border, and I'll make it translucent to true, because if you just scroll, I just want it to change as per the scrolling in iOS. That's why we are doing this up. And then I will have another toolbar. We can have multiple toolbars out here. So in the next toolbar, I'm going to have my iron segment, with which I'm going to get the design. Which design actually I didn't show you, right? You have already seen in the intro, but still I want to show you out here so that you can be clear what exactly we are going to build. So this is a design which we are going to build. So it holds, okay, the transaction one is hidden out here, which is the actual header part or the title part. But anyways, transaction is written out here, and inflow and outflow will be there. That will be done through iron segments. And then we have the same list as we did in our home page. If you see this part is almost the same. So we are going to repeat that up. Let's get started with this. So for the iron segment, I need to have this particular property in my TypeScript file. Let's get that done. So I'll go to the TypeScript file and I will have certain properties. Let me paste that. So all transactions will hold all the transactions, because inflow and outflow, I'm going to hold all the transaction array in one place. And then we are going to filter that up and pass a filtered data in our transactions array. That is why I'm having two arrays out here. And the last one is the segment value, where I'm passing in. So if you can see out here, the iron segment, I have passed the mode to be iOS. So because I want the same design of boxes one, otherwise in the Android one, it will show the dashes one. Means the iron segment which is selected below, it will show a dash, which I don't want. So the mode is iOS, and I've given a value of in and out to the second one. Then if there is any change, if you're just toggling it up or clicking the other one, then an event will get triggered, which is what I will be having right now. So out here, let me simply paste the code. So what have I done? Let me just show you properly. I have first initialized an array of objects to our all transactions array. Then I am calling the filter transactions. Why is that so? Because in the filter transaction, what is happening is whenever the segment value is in, then I am passing all the value whose amount is greater than equals to 0 to the transactions array from the all transactions array. Why I'm doing that? Because in means you have got the money, right? And out means you have given to someone else. That is why it is going from your end. So that will be the negative amount. That's why I have just passed out here x dot amount less than 0. That is how I am filtering it up. And then we have our segment change. Whenever it is getting changed, I am just setting the value to segment value. That is how it is getting dragged out here. And then I'm calling this particular function filter transactions, and the filtration will be done, and our array will change out there in the design one, right? So this is the only thing which we need to do, and everything is good to go. Now let me just show you the design part. So this is the design that is coming up. Now if I do change this to, okay, no need to change, or should I change it to MD? Because in Android how it shows up, I'll just show you. Look at this. I was talking about this one. Lines will come up. If I just select this up, this will come up. If I select this, this will come up. But I don't want that design. That is why I've given mode to be iOS. Alright. That's why I'm getting this particular design in iPhone, and also in Android one, I'll have the same design. Look at this. Just look at this, right? Alright, so now what am I going to do? Let me get back to iPhone 13 and reload it up. Every time we need to reload that up. Alright, so no errors as such. Let's move ahead and work with the other stuff. Designing part, we will do it all together or whenever I enter the SCSS. Fine? Or let's do it right now. So let's design something in our ion header with, let's play around with the ion segment, then let's move ahead. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'll go to the SCSS and close it up. I'll open up the ion header. Within that only I'm going to perform something. So ion toolbar, I'm setting the background of ion toolbar to be the secondary color. That is how it is getting set. If I don't set this up, you will see what happens. Well, nothing changed out here, but on the Android one, there can be a problem. So that's why, to be on the safe side, I'm just setting it to the secondary color. Then on the ion segment, well, I'm setting the background to be the primary one. That is why you are getting this dark green color out here. And then we don't need this stuff. Let me remove it. And then to the ion segment button, what have I done? I've changed the color of the text to be the white color by default. That is why you are just checking this to be the white color. The one that is selected is having the color of the primary one. All right. That is what I have done, and by default the one that is selected having a background of white. Even you can change that also, but I don't want to do that. So this is the one that I am doing. Now you can see this is looking very lovely. And if we check it on Android one, reload it up, just check this out, right? And what about if I don't give this? Yeah, just look at this. In Android one, it is not reflecting properly. So I'll have this up. So it will be passed in both the toolbars. That is why I'm not giving color to be secondary directly out there, because I want both the places to have the same thing. Why not to do it directly from here using the CSS properties of ion toolbar, right? Alright, so designing is done. Let's go to our iPhone 13 and reload it up again. Fine, done. Let's go back to HTML, and now I'm going to work with the ion content. So now at first to the ion content, I'm going to pass the color to be secondary, the background color. And then I'll make it as full screen to true because I want it to take the full screen. That's why if there is any array which is bigger, then this will change. All right, it will not have anything if I just scroll, and it will hide because I've given translucent in case of iOS, not in case of Android, right? Alright, so this is done. Now within the ion content, well, I'll have the same thing only which I did earlier. So why not to copy and paste it directly out here, right? So I'll have the same list, but I won't be having the ion list header out here. So apart from that, everything will be the same. Just you can see everything is the same, right? We've got a whole lot of stuff, whatever it's needed, but some things are changed. Or no, nothing is changed. Everything is the same. You can just match it up. If you think that something is changed, you can definitely copy this particular code and get it done, right? So this is the stuff that I have done, which I've already explained in the earlier part, the first part. Alright, so let's apply the same designing to it, but why to do it directly out here instead of doing it in the transaction.scss again? If I have the same, this particular stuff, where it is, not this one, not this one, this is the one. If I have the same code in my global.scss, then I can achieve that in both the places, right? So let's do that up. I'll just cut this from here, cut it up, and I'll paste it in the global.scss. After this, let me paste it. Alright, now once that is done, everything is done pretty nicely. You can see the designing is applied out here and in here too. Correct? So that is what I have achieved by doing this stuff. Let me remove the extra spaces. Let's go out here. Fine. Alright, now let's go back to our transaction page and everything is good to go. So our transaction page is also done. Let's check it out. This is the one, and we have achieved the same thing out here. So that's great. We don't need to do anything else. So that's the beautiest thing that we can do, right? So the second page is done. Now let's move on to the third page, which is very interesting one. So what is the third one? But before moving to the third one, let me just do one more stuff in our transaction one. So I want little spacing out here. So let me just give some margin. All right. So I'll go to the transaction page as CSS, and in the ion content, I will work with the ion list and give a margin top of 2 rem. Now this is looking nice, right? That's what I wanted. Alright, so this is done. The transition page is finished. Nothing else to do out here. And in fact, the global.cs is also, I'll just clear every file which is not needed. Why to create some complications, right? Everything is cleared now. Alright, now I'm going to the third one. And the design that we are going to build is this particular design. So this is the cards that you can have, and this is the lovely settings of the card that you can produce out here. All right, so no functionality is being done, only the design part is being done, and left and the functionality you can have on your own. All right, so let's work with this particular design now. I'm very much interested to show you that part. So let's get started with this particular card one. So we already have the page created. Now in here, what exactly I'm going to start with, let's check this out. So let's quickly start with the header part. Now in the header part, nothing else to do, just the simple stuff which you can see out here, right? Okay, you cannot see the cards one showing up, but anyways, what am I going to have? Well, let me just paste it. Same thing, only just the color and the title name is changed a little bit, and everything is good to go. And then I'm going to work with the ion content, whom I'm going to pass the color to be primary one, so that it can have the darkish color out here. That's looking nice. And this is the thing, if you just don't want this particular one, you can use position to be absolute and have the bottom to be 5 pixel or something. Then you're going to get this particular design without any background. All right, this particular tabs without background, so you won't be having this particular background if you want to remove that. All right, so I have already shown in the customized tabs layouts how it can be done. If you want, you can just check that particular videos. All right, so moving ahead within this, now the interesting part is this circle part. So this circle part is very much interesting, how you can achieve that up, and along with that, this particular design. So it should be done pretty nicely. So let me show you how it can be done. Let's do that. So at first, let me have a div whom I've given a class of background circle, bg circle. All right, let's work with that in our SCSS. So in the SCSS, I'm going to start with this particular content bg circle class. Let's do that. So I need to work with the ion content, and within that the class bg circle. This will be the code or SCSS for creating a circle. I've given the position to be absolute. Width and height is being passed. I've given 33 VH. You can just change it as per your requirement. The bigger you want or the smaller you want, you can change approximately. Then I've given left to be 8 rem, then top to be 7 VH, and border radius to be 50%. Then you can achieve this circle, otherwise it's difficult, right? And the background, I have just given this particular background. You can change because I want the greenish color, that is why I've just given this particular color with an opacity of 0.72. That's what it's being done, the RGBA. All right, so if you don't give this stuff, then the alignment won't be correct, because I want it towards the left side. That's why I have just done this part on the left. I have given it in negative, that is why it is moving that. And from the top, I want it to come down a little bit, that's why I've given 7 VH. So this is what I felt is better for my design. And let's go ahead and build our row, same as the earlier one, but this time let's see how it can be done. Let's do that. So I'll go to the HTML again, and after this div, I'm going to work with the iron row. So in order to work with the iron row, as out here also, we are going to use this Viper.js. So I need to import the module. So this is the problem that we get when we don't use a component and we have to declare everywhere this particular modules, which is not a good deal. So you can just use the component. I think that is a better approach, right? So I've used a swiper module, and now you have this particular import successfully done. Then you can go to the HTML and have this particular code. This piece of code will ensure that you have the banners of all the cards, and then you can have the same design. But let's get rid of the errors because I need few more stuff. Then I'll explain you what I have done in the designing part, in the HTML part. All right. So this is the same thing only which we have done earlier, but little different. Let me explain you that. But let's first work with the TypeScript to get rid of the errors. So I'll go to the TypeScript, and out here I'm going to have some properties. Let me just declare that banner config of type swiper options and card of any array, which will be initialized to an empty array. And after that, the way I have done in the home page, I'm going to do the same out here. The swiper course, swiper options, autoplay not needed, only the pagination will be fine, right? So let me just remove this autoplay. All right, everything is good to go. So the swiper core means Swiper.js is properly set up. Now I'll at first initialize the array of JSON object. So this will be my array where I have this particular stuff. So ID company image will be this particular image whose image is already present in the assets folder. So I've just taken that location and I've given any card number. All right, and the card holder name I've just given my name, and any expiry date I've given. These are the dummy cards which I have used out here, so don't ever try that up. I don't know whom it belongs. I've just given random numbers. All right, so anyways, let's move ahead and pass the configuration for the banner. For that we need to use ng after checked, ng after content is checked, so just the way we used earlier. So after content checked, we need to import it up. That's how we can inherit the interface of after content checked, and we can use the function for that now. So after ng on init, I'm going to paste this code ng after content checked, where I'm passing slides per view, one slide. That means one slide will show up in one view. If you give 3 slides, then it will show 3 slides. If you have 3 slides, if you don't have 3 items in an array, it won't show up, right? So you must have 3 items in an array. Then if you give 3, then it will show up 3 in one view. That means in a single view, out here you can see 3 items, just the way we did for this one 3.5. so we can see 3.5. that means it should have more than 3.5 items in the array, otherwise this will give some problems. So remember that is another thing you need to remember. All right, then center slides. So all the slides will be centered up pretty nicely. That is why I've given centered slides. And then the space between 2 slides I've given 40. If I don't give that, let me just show you the design actually. So this is a design that is coming up. We need to play around with the image sizing and everything. We'll do that up, don't need to worry. So for the alignment or for the spacing between 2 slides, I have given by default it was 40, I suppose. That is why I've just taken the same. And the pagination is clickable. If you click out here, it will redirect you to this particular one. That's what it means. All right, so this is the configuration that I wanted, and it's being done pretty nicely. Let's go to our SCSS and walk around with this, because this is looking pretty ugly, I would say. All right, so in the SCSS, what am I going to do? After this background circle, I'm going to paste some more SCSS or CSS, I would say, for the iron row. Now in the iron row, at first I've given some margin. All right, let me just do it one by one and show you up. Let me just comment this up. All right, now this was a design, so I've given some margin. Just look at this. So this was the margin that I have used, and now this is stringed a bit. Then I have redesigned this swiper one a bit. Okay, let me just uncomment and open this up. Fine. So I've given a height to this swiper one of 37 VH because I thought that was appropriate. If I just don't give that, it will take some random size based on the content, but I don't want that because I want this particular dots to be at the bottom or bullet one. That's why I have done that part. Now it's fine, correct? All right, and the div details one, this is the details one. This part is the details one to which I've given 32 VH. All right, so that is the difference. If I give 32 VH, then the 5 VH part is still left. That's where we can have this bullet part, right? So after that, the border radius is simple. The padding I have given, if I don't give this padding, it will just enlarge a bit and take the size out here, which I don't want. That is why I've given a little bit of padding to the left and right side. Then the background image is being given. If I don't give that, you will see the darkish color. I've given a background color, that is why and with an opacity of 0.05 to the RGB one. And then backdrop filter, blurrish effect is given. If I don't give that, you can see this is directly overlapping this part, which is not looking great. So to give a blurry effect, backdrop filter will be very handy out here. Then the border is being given, which you can see this is the border that is being given, which is looking really lovely. The neon effect is being given according to me. So I want that effect. That is why this border is very important. Then to the IMG tag, well, self-align to start, that is why it is coming at the start. Then how much is the width and margin is given. If I don't give all this stuff, you will see what happens. See, this is bigger, and the width, if I just align it up to the start part, it will come up to the left side a bit, or it is not coming because it is taking the full size, right? If I just change the width, you will see this is getting shorter because the height is means arranged automatically based on the width. Then margin, if I don't give it, then it was looking really ugly. Now it is looking nice, right? After that is done, I'm playing with the iron label, which is actually this particular stuff which I didn't explain you, right? I'm directly explaining you the SCSS. So in the iron row, I'm having this Viper.js where I've given the configuration of banner config, and I'm using out here the ng template. So this is how we use for Swiper.js, and within that the swiper slide is being given. That's the attribute it's being using, and then this is looped. Once that is looped, I'm using within the loop a div which is having a class called card details, which I have declared. And I have out here the image at first. This is the image that is being shown up. Then a div which is holding the card number and the card holder name in this particular manner, which is centered up. Now after that, I have a p tag where I'm passing the expiry date. So this is being passed directly out here. That is why I'm not centering it up. And I'm passing ion text start, that is putting it to the start part. Alright, and I'm having another class called exp, which I can use to modify the design a bit. Alright, and I've given the color to be white. So this is the stuff which I have used. Now let's get back to our SCSS and complete the explanation part. So in the ion label which I have used, where it is, yes, this is the part, the middle part where I've used the ion label. So within that, I'm just, okay, the account number which is being used, it's given this particular thing which is the same as a home page one. Then to the span one, that is the second one which we have out here, this particular card holder name, whatever done out here is basically given a font size and a font weight of 500, which is little lesser than the account number because I want it to differentiate between the two, right? Then to the expiry date, I have passed the font size, font weight as align cell, because if I don't give that, it was not aligning to the start one. Let's check that out. If I don't give that, okay, still it is working, so that's great. I don't need to give that, I suppose. I forgot why I gave that, but anyways, that's properly okay. If I don't need that, that's great. Then margin is given. If I don't give that, well, that's gonna look ugly little bit because I want little spacing between the middle part and the last part, right? That's why. That's the old stuff. It's pretty simple to understand, I suppose. So let's check this out. I'll just swipe it up and this is coming up pretty nicely, right? I'm loving it. All right. So this is done. So this part is achieved pretty nicely. Now what next I need to do? I need to play around with the other stuff that we had out here. And if you just match these two parts, it's the same, right? Only this part is left. Let's achieve that too. So this is done. I don't need to do anything else out here. That's great. Let's go to our HTML, and after this iron row, I need to work with the other stuff. Now out here also I'm going to have an iron list. So this is the list that I'm going to have, and you must be wondering how it got the design out here because I've given the class to be transaction. So all the things, all the CSS which is applied to the transition class is applied out here also, which we have, because we have passed it in the global.scss, so it will be applied everywhere. That's why I have passed it out there, so that we can reuse that whenever we want, and we need in lot many places. Till now we have used it in 3 places and everywhere it is successfully done. So we don't need to do anything out here apart from the things that we need to write. So iron list header I have passed out here, within which I have given an iron label to which I have named it as settings, and I have given a color to be medium, which is looking pretty nice out here. Then the border radius is already given from that particular class descriptions of iron list. So that's great. Then we have the iron item group. Within that we have the iron item whose I've given the full line it will take. Alright, that is why this is taking the full line up till here, because for the iron list we have some margin, right? Margin spacing is there. That is why it is not taking up. If you have any doubt, you can just inspect it up and you will get to know what exactly this part means. Let me just show you this particular part. Alright, this is the iron list. Yes, look at this. This is the iron item group, and within the iron item group we have this up. So to the iron item group I have given some margin. It was not default, so I have given some margin. Okay, I just forgot actually. Okay, all right, so I have given some margin so that it looks pretty much better. Now it's fine. And then within the iron item I have an iron label where I have the first item to be enable card, and then this is the toggle button which I have used out here, whose slot is given to be an AND, and by default I have set to check to be true. So this is looking nice. And then we have another iron item group where I have the same thing only, but the iron label is changed to change pin, and this time we don't have any toggle button, alright, which is not needed. So I just have the detail to be true. Let me just pass it. Okay, it is being passed. So detail is set to true, which is not needed to be passed. If you just pass detail out here, then also it is quite understandable that you are passing detail to true. Alright, if you just want to pass detail to false, then you need to definitely set it to equals to false, you need to write. And if you just pass it in this particular manner, also false, also still it's going to work. Just check this out. See, there is nothing. If I just pass true out here, it's going to show up. There we go. Alright, so it's completely up to your requirement how you want to do that up. I'll keep it as it is. Never mind, and everything is good to go, I suppose. Or should I change it? Let's change it to detail only. Alright. Okay, so this design is also done, right? If you just try to hover, we don't have any more items. That is why it is not working properly, or hovering. Not hovering, it is scrolling actually. So I don't need to scroll it, and you can see the background is this particular color because the iron list is not that big. So what we can do in order to like fill this particular place, we can work around with the CSS for that in the SCSS file. So out here in the card one, I don't need to do anything to the iron row. Let me just minimize it up. And after the iron row, we can play around with the iron list. But I will have this particular stuff. I'll only change the font size of this particular ones. So let me just work around with this. So iron list, iron item, and the iron label font size I've just changed a little bit because I want it to be a little bigger and appropriate, which will match the other pages properly, right? That's why this is being done, and I think everything is good. And the spacing, I'll keep it as it is, right? I think we had it out here also, correct? So everything looks the same. That's great. So we have achieved this part also pretty nicely. Those 3 pages are built up successfully. Time to go for the last one. So this is the page that is being left. Let's work with that now. So coming back to the last page, this is the design that we are going to build. So let's get started with this particular design. So what am I going to do? Let's clear up everything and go to the other page, which will be the settings page. HTML file at first, and in the HTML file I'm going to design it up at first. So let's start with our iron header, which we always do. So I'll just change this iron header where I'll give no border, and color of toolbar I'll change it to secondary one. Then to the iron title I've given the primary color, and settings I've changed it to settings, capital S. That's the only thing I've done, and it is looking lovely according to me. I always say according to me because I do not know how you feel like. So I want your comments, guys, then only I'll know whether you're liking this particular designs or not, right? So do fill up the comment section, guys. Who is stopping you to do that? Come on, do that up. Now once that is done, I will change the color of the iron content also to be secondary one because I want to have the same background also, right? That's give a look and feel very nice, right? And now what am I going to do? I'm going to design this particular part. So in order to design this part, I need to do everything within a div. So let me just paste the code. So this is the div which is aligned to center, and I've used an iron avatar within that, within which I have the image because this image is already present. So I have that up, and after that I have passed the iron label whom I've given the color to be primary, and I have passed my name. So this is the stuff that I have done. Now we need to design this up so that it looks like the one that we see out here, correct? Because this is not looking that great, isn't it? So in order to work with that, I'll go to the SCSS file, and in here I'll work with the iron content, and within the iron content, well, I'm going to work around with the div where I'm going to give at first the margin top to be 2 rem. Then I'm going to work with the iron avatar where I'm giving border radius of 50%, then a border of color tertiary of 1 pixel solid so that we can have this neon effect type of stuff border, right? And then height and width I have changed, I have fixed it up so that it won't like take the bigger size, and if you have a bigger image it will take the bigger size. I don't want that, right? That is why I've just wrapped it up in a specific height and width. Then to the iron label, well, I've set it to block. If I don't do that, it will just move here and there, which I don't want. That is why block is necessary. And then the weight and font size I've changed as per my requirement. Then the bottom margin and top margin I have just changed it a bit. All right, that's the only stuff I have done so that we can have some margin out here and at the bottom also a little bit. Fine. Once that is done, is this the same design that we have out here? I hope so. I feel that. And then the next thing will be then this particular ion list. Let's work with this quickly. So I'll go out here to the HTML part, and now we are going to work directly with the ion list. So after this, we will have this particular ion list. Now in this ion list, I'm having this particular buttons, right? Actually not buttons, I would say this particular functionalities, say like we have an ion label. At first we have the icon, and then at last I have the toggle button. So it is continued in two places, just the same one that we did for in our card one out here. It's the same stuff only, right? So this is being done, and change password, we have get support, and the last one will be a button which I'm just going to have right now after this particular ion list. For the logout one, let me just paste that. So this will be my iron button. Fill will be clear. I've given some margin, iron margin to all the ends. Then the color will be danger, and then within that I want to have an icon, and this slot start will ensure that the icon appears before, means say I'm using LTR. That's very important why I'm saying LTR and RTL. So in LTR it will come before the text, and in RTL it will come like before the text only in both the cases, but the direction will be different, right? So I would say before the text it will come up, the icon. That is why it is coming up out here. Alright, otherwise if you give and out here, then it will come up after the text. Alright, so this is done. Now we need to design this up. This is not looking the same, correct? This is looking really lovely and not this one, guys. So let's achieve that up. I'll go to the SCSS again and work with this particular stuff to get the same stuff which we need. Alright, in order to do that up, after this div, I'm going to play around with the CSS for iron list. So this is the stuff which I'm going to have. I have at first given background to be transparent so that we can have the same background color of the iron content. Then some padding I have given. If I don't give that, this won't come up in this particular manner because it was taking the full size, right? I don't want that. If I don't give it, you will see that this will be more congested and attaching to the whole, it's taking the full width, right? I don't want that. That is why I've just checked it out by changing it up again and again, and I thought this was pretty okay, right? Then to the iron item, I'm playing around with the iron item CSS properties. So I'm just given background to be transparent, border style to be dashed, border color to be tertiary, padding bottom, padding top, padding start and end. I have just set it to 0. Otherwise it will take the padding start and end, and that won't be nice. You want to see that? Let me just undo this or comment this up. Well, there is no effect right now. Okay, all right, there is an effect. This was moving towards the middle part, which I don't want that, right? That is why I've given start and end padding to be 0. All right, I hope you have understood this part. Then to the iron toggle, I have given margin right to be in -1. If I don't give that, that will move towards the right side. Just check this out. Or sorry, towards the left side it is moving. Why I'm playing so much with the directions, I'm confused with the LTR and RTL. Doesn't matter, I'll just give it again. Alright, because I want these lines to be almost at the par, means almost at the marginal one. But still we can do a little bit more, but I think that's fine. Alright, because we have this particular stuff also arranged pretty nicely. Alright, so I'll just keep it as it is. Then finally I'm working with the iron button because I'm just giving some margin bottom of 10 VH so that even if the list is bigger and if I just move towards the bottom, still I can scroll and get this logout button to be visible. Otherwise it won't be visible properly, right? So that is the only stuff that is being done, and we are done with the designing part of this particular finance application. So I really love this finance application, and I know you must also be liking this part. Now it was very much easier for us to design the other pages because we have done the hardest part in our home page one. So the home page is the pillar of building the other pages because the designing was almost the same everywhere. Just little bit of tweaks were there, but the maximum things were the same. So we didn't play much out here, but yeah, we achieved whatever we wanted, correct? So this is the whole stuff which we need to do to achieve this particular stuff. And let me just go to the iron card, and let me have this one also because I just tested it earlier. In some cases it was needed, but if you don't need that, you can simply remove it. I removed it, but I will still have this up for the time being. I don't want to play around with all this stuff because I did it for some purpose. I don't remember exactly why I did that, but anyway, I'll have it still fine. So once that is done, this is the design that we have. Just look at this pretty nicely. All right, let's check it everywhere. I'll check it in Android, and I'll not run it in Android and iOS. I'll just check it out here because this is the UI part, right? It will be same everywhere. So let me just select anything else, a little bigger size. I think this will be bigger. All right, this is fine, I suppose. So now this is the design that we have on our Android, and if I just scroll, you can see this is working. Otherwise this will not work if I don't give some margin bottom. All right, that's what I wanted. Now this is looking great, and the dots and the dashed are visible pretty nicely in Android one. Then the card one, all right, this is also showing up very nicely, isn't it? And this is also working great. So this effect is very much important because it is highlighting this particular card company, which is very much necessary. All right, otherwise it won't be that visible, and the expiry date also, it is highlighting it up. Then we have the transaction page. Now this one thing you can change out here if you want to. Well, you can just shrink it up and have the same design as the iOS one, but well, you have to play around with this stuff if you want to. And finally, this is the part of the home page, which is the same part, right? Now let me just align this particular stuff out there so that we can just check this up, this particular stuff. If I want to have the same design, then what I need to do out here, let's check it out. So what if I just have this iron segment? Now let's check for the iOS what is being done. All right, I have it in the iOS now. So this is the design that I'm going to have in iOS. And what if I just inspect it up, and to the iron segment, what it's being done for the sizes? Well, this is the size that is being taken. Now how do I check it? Well, this is the default thing that is being done. Now for the Android one, well, let's go back to Android one. Now I need to like shrink it. So at first, let me have the transactions one at the center. Will it look nice? Or I'll keep it as it is. No, not a problem. But this part I want to like really work with that. So let me just try a few stuff for the iron segment. Where it is. This is the one. Let's try something. Let me give the weight to be 60% and margin to be auto. Yes, this is working, right? So this I need to apply only for the Android one. Correct. So let me simply copy this up, and what I'm going to do out here, let me also maximize this up. So out here, well, where was it? Transaction one. So in the transaction one, let me minimize and do it directly. In fact, this one also, I'll just remove it, minimize it. All right, back to normal. Now let's work with this particular stuff in the transaction one. I will have at first, before this iron header only, I need to do this, because if you have to do everything outside of any wrapper, all right, otherwise you won't be able to work with this stuff. So for the MD, I'm going to paste this particular code for the iron segment, width to be 60%, margin to be auto. That's what I've done. And this particular HTML, whatever it is, yeah, this one, the title one, well, you can have the mode to be iOS if you want it at the center. Now this is working nicely. All right, for the Android one too. So this is what you need to do to achieve the same. Now if you go for the iOS one, you won't see that. Let's go for iPhone 13. Now in iPhone 13, like, look at this. This is different, and this is not getting changed as per our one. If you want to just check that out, the same styling which we did for Android, whether it is getting reflected out here or not, I'll just select this up, and nothing is coming out here. But if I just go to let's go out here and reload it up, I'll just go for inspect for the iron segment. All right, this is the one that is coming up for the MD. Let's check out here for iPhone again, whether this shows up or not. I just want to confirm you guys. This is the iron segment. Look at this. Nowhere it is showing .md class. So this is how you can play around with the for the Android and iOS designing part. All right, so I've achieved the same design in both the cases, and I hope you must be liking this particular part. So this is the whole design you need to work without, and I hope you like this particular video. If you like this video, guys, please hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel if you're new out here, and help the channel grow, because the content out here is free, of course, and in order to bring more interesting videos for you guys, I need to get pumped up, and that can only happen if you subscribe to the channel, and I can see that numbers, big numbers out there, right? So anyways guys, that's just a part of it. And I just want your comments. What next you want to build? I'm thinking of a chat application, the whole series of that. Let me know in the comment section what exactly you want. All right, so with this I'll wrap up this video out here. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.